Yeah, I'm back. So, so this is why it's the ultimate purpose is to make an impact in this world. It's not just about preserving yourself, and you're all gonna die, and then you're gonna have kids. But what if people who don't have kids, do they have nothing to live for, or what? It's not just about having kids. It's about making an impact. Obviously, having a kid is a big impact because imagine the kid that you bring into the world and then you shape, that's gonna grow up and do some damage as well. So that is the thing. It's all about making an impact, right? You can just ponder over this a lot more. I mean, I know that you can't just accept whatever I'm saying just from hearing it for the first time. You just got to think about this on your own. Why is this amoeba doing this? Why is it consuming food? Why is it what is it actually doing? Just look at it from a really higher and a simple perspective, just from the perspective of a force and elementary particles and all that, right? Anyway, so it's all about making an impact, and impacts um, can be in a lot of format. Obviously, you feel it's like, so now there's a thing. Okay, so now it's all about having an impact, right? So what does this brain do? What So the brain comes into this picture, and then see, you find pleasure in all the things that you supposedly make an impact. For example, you find pleasure in eating, right? So when you eat, you're actually digesting the food, and you know that's actually going to be good for you as well. You're converting that substance into yourself. So that is an impact you're doing. You're going to consume food, you're going to make shit out of it, or so that is something that gives you pleasure. Or in all those other things as well, if you just go around, if you play, or you do some work, or that you feel, and you feel pleasure as well, right? And the same goes for other things as well. When you have sex with someone, it usually means you have impregnated that person, so you feel a lot of pleasure having sex or connecting with someone on that level, right? It's not just physically connecting, and now it also becomes a matter of emotionally connecting, right? So when you connect with someone emotionally, you feel some intellectual pleasure, some sort of things like that. I mean, not just intellectually connecting with someone for flirting and all that, but even if you're connecting with a scientist, and then you discuss something with them, and then they and then you shape their thought, and you made your impact on that person, not just intellectually, but any good deed you do and you impact people's life, it will give you pleasure. But but it's like the brain is not the best. The pleasure that your brain senses is not the best indicator of what an impact you've made, right? Say for example, you've saved a person, right? Saved someone's life. You probably would have struggled a lot for it, and then sometimes you would have saved a person you might not even know. You might not even know the enormity of uh, your actions. You don't even know the consequences of what you've done. Sometimes it might have saved a lot of jobs, a lot of lives, or whatever. um, but you don't feel pleasure doing that, and but you feel pleasure just whacking off to porno, right? So you feel the same pleasure whacking off to porno, like not exactly same, but the physical pleasure at least is quite, you get a lot of excitement, and you get a lot of pleasure out of it. You get the same pleasure out of it, almost the same pleasure out of whacking off to porno compared to actually having sex and impregnating a girl, right? So the later is the one with the consequence, but you also get a lot of pleasure doing the first one. So what it means is the brain is not very efficient. It's just an approximate indicator of whether you're doing the right thing or not. So what I'm saying is, if you've done, if you're having a lot of pleasure, it doesn't mean you've done a great impact. And great people who made a lot of impact, it doesn't mean that their life has always been very pleasurable, right? So Martin Luther King, he's made such an impact, but he was probably depressed all the time, and so was Mahatma Gandhi and all that, right? So those guys made a lot of impact. All the scientists also, though those guys made a lot of impact, but they were just, there's just the inefficiency. They were just thinking all the time, depressed all the time, most of the time, and all that, right? So there is a disconnect between its pleasure is only a proxy thing, and it's not even 100%. um, so the main purpose is to make an impact. So when you compare yourself with a fellow organism, right, you can compare yourselves based on three things. The first and foremost thing is the basic thing, which we all understand. If someone plays better than you in cricket, so he's better than you, he has got more skill, right? More skill, more, I use the word inherent potential. Skill is, it's not just skill, but entirely who you are. Your looks comes into play, your strength, your health, your physical features, and your intellectual potential, that comes into play, right? If you're intelligent, or if you're very clever, or if you've got a knack for something, so if you basically got a skill, or you've got the physical strength, or good looks, or whatever, all those things constitute your inherent potential. So inherent potential is what the first thing that you can compare yourself against to. Like, you're walking down the road, you see another guy, you think you're smart, but you might also be thinking that guy is smarter than you, or so there you're basically doing a comparison of just your pure self, your intellect, strength, looks, wealth, and all those things, right? So that's number one. The next thing is pleasure, right? So just having the skill isn't good enough. If you take a really good looking, smart James Bond type and you put him in prison for 20 years of his life, uh, what's going to happen, right? So you, even if you're even if you're I don't know, Johnny Walker or something, he's supposed to be the comedian everyone knows, right? Whatever. So even if you're this guy, and you have freedom, and you're just roaming around people, you're sipping lattes, or having good food, you are having more of a pleasure than this guy who's stuck in the jail, right? So that's the second thing that you can evaluate yourself with. And the third thing is the actual impact that you do. Say for example, you could be Brad Pitt, you could be a celebrity, you could be having a lot of sex, and you could be popular, and people listen to whatever you're saying and all that. But it doesn't mean that you are a very impactful guy. Like for example, someone who invented, I don't know, the car windshields. I saw this movie the other. He whatever he has invented um, is actually making a difference in the lives of people so much, right? So compared to a Newton, or compared to a Tesla, guys like Brad Pitt have got, they haven't made that much of an impact, even though they're scoring a lot of checks and all that, right? And even that way, a president of a country, he impacts a lot more than just an actor who scores a lot of hot chicks, right? But okay, so the reason we get more pleasure out of being with a really high class, a good looking person is, if you're with a good looking person, if you're connected to a good looking person, you have a really cool hip circle of friends and a really hot, I mean high class girlfriend or whatever, it means that you will be making more of an impact than someone who's got a not so hot girlfriend, or who hangs around with a bunch of not so cool guys, right? Because the hot chick is going to make a lot of heads turn, and make a lot of people jealous. And so and the same goes with, if you have a really cool circle of friends, and then you can those guys are going to make a lot of impact, and wherever they go, and so you making that your impact on them. So your impact, you make more of an impact that way by impacting someone who's hot, right? So that's the reason that people always try to be with hot people, right? So now, I told you the three things that you compare yourself uh, against a fellow with. So one is your inherent potential, the second one is the pleasure, and the third one is your actual impact, right? um, I would actually just, right here I would just say that 1 and 3 are the ones that I care about. I mean, I know that um, as a South Indian, and being in an arranged marriage, I haven't gotten the most hottest circle of friends, or wife or whatever, but um, to me it's like the thing. I'll tell you why I think 1 and 3 are more important, right? So I mean, for me, making an impact is the biggest thing for an organism, right? Making an impact um, is the most important thing. But if you have more inherent potential, it means that in the future you would be making more of an impact, right? um, Pleasure is just a proxy thing. I know that pleasure is what everyone is seeking. Everyone wants to be happy all the time. Everyone wants to feel good. But if you know that you are you have a higher inherent potential and a higher chances of making impact in the future, or if you have already made a lot of impact in your past, that is what makes you a better organism, right? So you have to just think about that and be happy. Not that you're not gonna get a lot of pleasure, right? So what if someone has a really hot girlfriend, right? They're just gonna be making an impact on that person alone if they're married to them. You, if you have a lot of inherent potential, you can make a lot of impact. So let me just now say which particular trait of yours adds more to your inherent potential. So the classic example is, the classic question is it intelligence or looks that's gonna uh, give you more of a, I mean, that's gonna have more of a impact potential, right? Um, I mean, so actually you can classify this inherent potential into two categories. See, you can learn a basic programming language and then you can land a big job, right? You can just learn, I don't know, Java and become a good programmer and earn in millions, right? But okay, let me just tell you what the two categories of inherent potential are. The first category is how hard it is to acquire that inherent potential. And the second, actually there are more classifications, more than three I would say. The first one is how hard it is to acquire the potential. The second category is how much pleasure that inherent potential would fetch you. Third is how much of an impact that you can do with that inherent potential. So let's assume three different people, right? Let's assume what's that cyclist name? Some Olympic gold medalist, some three-time Olympic gold medalist, or uh, the guy who climbed Mount Everest or whatever, right? Um, so he's number one, and number two is Tesla or Einstein, and number three is Brad Pitt, right? So, so this guy, the guy who climbed Mount Everest, he probably would have tried really harder. Physically, he would have put in so much effort to acquire his set of skills and strength, right? But someone who learns just a programming language, or someone who just, I don't know, took an English degree and became a journalist like Arnab Goswami or whatever. Arnab Goswami, all he does is talk, right? But this guy makes more of an impact with a with his skill than the Olympic gold medalist did, right? So that is your classification. The guy, the Olympic gold medalist, his inherent potential is, out of let's just give it a score of 90 or something. Arnab Goswami's inherent potential is only 30 to 40, because you don't really have to put much effort to get that skill. But the impact that Arnab Goswami makes is probably around, I don't know, some uh, 70 to 80, whereas this guy who won the Olympic gold medalist, he's probably just, his impact potential is only 20 or something, right? So any inherent, I mean, the inherent potential has three kinds of scores. One is how hard it is to get them. A second is how much pleasure that potential is going to give you. And probably the third one is how much impact that potential you is able to you're able to make with that, right? So obviously for pleasure, right, you have to be good looking. Okay, so being good looking gives you more of a pleasure than being intelligent, right? But with intelligence you can actually make more of an impact. Like, you can become the president or an inventor, or you can create something that all people use and impacts the daily lives of billions of people, right? So that you can. So intelligence has more of an impact potential. Good looks has more of a pleasure potential. And now the ultimate question is, which one is more hard to acquire, right? So now we come to this: intelligence or pleasure, which is more hard to acquire? Obviously you can't take a South Indian guy and turn him into Brad Pitt, right? But the way you have to think about this is, having good looks is also a potential. It doesn't just come by luck. It takes generations and generations of living in a good place, having a healthy diet, having a healthy lifestyle, becoming a strong group of people, a strong race, or whatever. So good looks has all those things associated with it. Maybe it also takes other efforts, like white guys colonizing the world and imposing their cultural imperialism, and then everyone looks up to white guys, and even if white guys fart, people think that's funny, and uh, whatever, right? So all those geopolitical things you should have established in the past for you to enjoy the impression of good looking and all that, right? Good looking or swag or whatever, right? Um, so coming back to the question, so which one is more difficult to get, intelligence or good looks? I mean, intelligence, it's not like you take a random person from I don't know, some astroloid, and then you give him teaching and he's going to become a Tesla or something, right? It's gonna even there are, I mean, this, it's gonna be politically incorrect. I know that training plays a big role in someone's intelligence, but their genetic structure also helps a lot in someone becoming intelligent or not, right? It's both nature and nurture, right? So I mean, there's so many things the genes control, like the number of neurons, the area of particular sections of your neocortex, and the connection, the number of connection between the neurons, and the activation threshold between the neurons, and and so many things come into play when deciding someone's intelligence, right? So genetics, I mean, even for getting intelligent, you should have it takes generations to get to develop that inherent potential. So inherent potential, how difficult is it to acquire intelligence or beauty, right? So I would say it is still intelligence, because you take a particular, a guy, a child from the same race, okay? You take a white kid. Is it easy? Do you think it's easy for you to, make him go to the gym and talk and walk and act like Brad Pitt, or do you think it's gonna be easier for you to make him into an Einstein, right? So take a white kid. Can you make him into a Brad Pitt, or is it easy to make him into an Einstein? So my thing would be, it's easier to make him into a Brad Pitt with swag and looks and class and whatever. That, and so it is difficult to make him intelligent. So intelligent is hard to acquire. So and the same thing, if you take an ape and for it to evolve into a human, there was a lot more intellectual thing that had happened rather than the physical thing, right? Because even apes are physically very physically, if you speak about strength and all that, even apes are very strong and very healthy and all that. But intelligence wise, that is the difference. That is the most evolution, rather than, I mean, compare when you take an ape and human, uh, the we are intellectually much more better than the ape, rather compared to physically we are, right? So so the thing is, intelligence is more of a hard to acquire skill in the inherent potential category. And so inherent potential wise, guys who are intelligent are a better specimen than guys who are just good looking. Pleasure wise, people who are good looking, they have more pleasure in their lives. um, and but impact wise, people who are more intelligent, like for example Einstein, or president, or the head of a CEO of a technology company or whatever, these guys make more of an impact than a pretty face, right? So so now I've established why intelligence makes someone more of a better a better specimen, a better organism. So even if you don't have you're not from a hot group of people, you don't have a hot circle of friends, it doesn't mean that's the end of the world. I know that you're walking along the street, you find a good looking couple. The only thing you're comparing yourself with them is that, why don't I have such a good uh, looking partner or something. But just think to yourself that if you think you're intelligent enough, right, you are a better specimen than them. So every time you walk past them, you have to be happy that you are a better specimen than them. Okay, so that will give you happiness. So even if you're missing out on pleasure, you just have to keep thinking about this and feel happy all the time. Yeah, so it's all about having a peace of mind, and it's all about having, feeling happy most of the time, right? People are anxious is all the time, all the time. They think, oh, how do I better myself? Why should I they are always looking to better themselves, looking to go get them some wealth, go get them some popularity, go get them some, good circle of friends, go get them some hot chicks. So they think that they have to keep getting all this, but you know, once the anxiety goes away, and once you realize that you are a better specimen than someone else or most other people, um, so you should just have a good peace of mind. So you can just let go of the pleasure thing. If you dwell on it, you can also dwell on it, and you can try to see how you can maximize your pleasure as well in this life. Um, but generally speaking, you should think about these things. Just be really happy that you are a very intelligent specimen, okay, or a superior specimen compared to some not so intelligent people. Okay, so this video is about why intelligence is uh, more makes you a better specimen than the other ones. And there's a saying that South Indians are more intelligent than North Indians. I obviously think that. I'm going to make another video explaining why I think that. But for now, yeah, if you think, not all South Indians are intelligent, then not all North Indians, but you gotta, generally speaking, that's the case. I don't know if you, if you obviously have to be educated, you should have, read a lot more things, you should have been exposed to a lot of things, not just, clap at Bollywood movies or Hollywood action movies like Schwarzenegger movies and all that. You gotta know a lot of stuff. That's what makes you intelligent. Um, but generally speaking, South Indians are more intelligent than North Indians, so you should be happy about all that, right? I will explain to you in the next video why I think South Indians are more intelligent.